employee discipline/dismissal/release pursuant to Government Code Section 57957, consideration of a request for rescission of employee discipline/dismissal action taken on August 10th, 2010, and consideration of public employee discipline, dismissal, or release. I'll open our communications for this item. Is there anyone here that would like to speak? Seeing and hearing none, I'll close that, and we'll recess to closed session for those items.
Am I on? Okay. We'll now call the Garden Grove Housing Authority meeting. Madam Clerk, could you please take row?
Commissioner Dalton?
Here.
Commissioner Doe?
Here.
Commissioner Jones? Commissioner Navarez?
Here.
Commissioner O'Connor?
Here.
Vice Chair Broadwater?
Here.
Chair Wynn?
Here. Madam Clerk, do we have any oral communications?
No, we don't.
Okay, we'll now go to any public comments or commissioner comments. Okay, hearing none, we'll now go to the consent items.
It's recommended that the commission approve the two items before you.
Do you have a motion?
Move the items.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Motion received, 6 yes votes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have no public hearing on calendar or items for consideration. Any matters from commissioners and director? Okay, hearing none, before we adjourn the meeting, I know that this is Commissioner Navarro's last meeting, and we want to thank you for your service on the Housing Authority, and we hope that you would consider coming back and serving us. Whatever decision you make, good luck to you. Thank you. And now we'll call the adjournment of the Housing Authority. Our next meeting will be on January 25th, 2011 at 6:30 in the Council Chamber.
It's been a pleasure, Commissioner Navarez.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Otherwise, we'll fire him next year. I'd like to call the Garden Grove City Council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Broadwater?
Here.
Councilmember Doe?
Here.
Councilmember Wynn?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones?
Here.
Mayor Dalton?
Here. We had a closed session item, and council will report out.
I'll refer this to my partner, Bruce May, to report out on item 2A on the city council agenda.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Bruce May. I am independent counsel to the city on the matter that I'm addressing, and I'm reporting out action taken on closed session item number 2A. Pursuant to Garden Grove Municipal Code Section 2.44.390, the City Council and City Manager reviewed disciplinary action taken against a former Garden Grove police officer during a closed session meeting held on August 10th, 2010. Legal counsel for that officer subsequently asserted that the action taken on August 10th was in violation of the Brown Act. Without finding or conceding any such violation, the City Council has decided to rescind the action taken on August 10th and to conduct a new review. The vote on that decision to rescind was 4-1. Mayor Dalton and council members Wynn, Jones, and Broadwater voted yes. Council member Doe voted no. The City Council and City Manager then undertook a new review in closed session this evening. Based on all of the evidence and arguments in the administrative record, the City Council voted unanimously, with the concurrence of the City Manager, to direct legal counsel to prepare written findings and conclusions sustaining the police officer's decision to terminate the employment of the police officer in question for consideration during a second closed session to be held on December 14th, 2010.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have the invocation by Kingsley Okereke and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Jones.
Excuse me, Mayor Dalton, I have one more to report out for closed session. From your special meeting agenda,
Okay.
item 2A, I'll report out, 2B, The City Council and the Agency Board conferred with legal counsel about anticipated litigation in closed session, but no reportable action was taken in closed session. The community should be aware that late Friday afternoon, the City Council received a letter from a public interest group called the Kennedy Commission about the proposed Brookhurst Triangle project, which is on your open meeting agenda tonight. The letter voices their concerns about very low income and low income housing in the community. Garden Grove facilitates and encourages affordable housing, both new development and rehabilitation of existing housing in the community through city and agency activities. Several action items before the City Council and agency tonight, as I've noted, relate to a DDA for the Brookhurst Triangle project that will include 60 to 120 new units of affordable housing available for low to moderate income households earning less than 120% of area median income for Orange County. The agency is funding these moderate income units now, and the units will fulfill the obligation imposed as a part of the city's regional housing needs assessment, the RENA allocation of 111 units of moderate income housing. At this time, the agency does not have adequate monies in the housing fund to develop very low income and low income units in this project, but the agency anticipates that in subsequent phases of the project, both very low and low income units will be included and subsidized by the agency. Economic analysis to include very low income and low income units in the project is being conducted by professional economists. However, that part of the project has not been completely negotiated at present. The agency director and city manager anticipates that as soon as adequate housing set-aside funds are available in the housing fund, probably in fiscal year 2011-2012, a separate affordable housing agreement will be negotiated and presented for agency and city council consideration and action that will include a specific number of very low and low income affordable rental housing units for the project. The agency and the city of Garden Grove strongly support affordable housing and will continue their efforts towards production and rehabilitation of more affordable housing in Garden Grove.
Thank you very much. Now we'll have the invocation by Kingsley and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Jones.
Let's rise. For our Garden Grove community. Please, Lord, purify our intentions, strengthen our purpose, and grant that in serving our community, we may serve you. Amen.
Amen.
Everyone, please face the flag and say the pledge with me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Guys, here we have some presentations.
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor, and I'd like John Clark to make the presentations this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Fertal, Mayor and members of the City Council. We have two. The first is on the Employee Charity Drive. Tonight, the Garden Grove City Council is pleased to present monetary donations, some cold hard cash, to three deserving local organizations as a result of the city's recent Employee Charity Drive. Will Pat Halberstadt, Chief Professional Officer for the Boys and Girls Club of Garden Grove, and Loretta Moody, Executive Director for the Community Health Charities, please come forward to the podium. Throughout the month of October, city employees dug deep and participated in a variety of events and campaigns in order to raise money for the Boys and Girls Club of Garden Grove, Community Health Charities, and the United Way. Events included Big Bucks Bingo, pizza and donut sales, the sale of Ghosty Grams, and several raffles. Employees paid for the privilege of dressing casual, or perhaps I would say more casual, at work. The campaign culminated with our annual Halloween lunch that was attended by more than 200 employees who participated in the charity drive. More than $13,000 was raised for the event, over $8,000 in the form of payroll pledges. The remaining cash balance is being split among the three charities. Each year, the Employee Charity Committee chooses a Garden Grove organization to support, in addition to the traditional donations to United Way and Community Health Charities. This year, a special donation will be made to the Boys and Girls Club of Garden Grove. Despite the tough economy and the fact that the city has nearly 100 fewer employees, this year's charity drive surpassed previous totals by more than $4,000. At this time, the mayor and city council would like to present the Girls and Boys Club of Garden Grove with a check for $2,241, and Community Health Charities with a check for $1,041. A representative from the United Way couldn't be with us this evening, but they will also be receiving a check for $1,041. The employees of the city are pleased to give back to the community that they serve. Thank you.
If you'd like to say a few words, please.
Well, I've had the privilege of working for community health charities for 21 years, and I've lived in this city just as long, and I'd like to just thank all of you and Marty and your wonderful committee for the awesome job that you did on this campaign. Like they said, there's less employees, but the hearts have only grown more. And if that's possible, it just never ceases to amaze me how philanthropic all of you are. And so thank you, city council members and mayor and city manager. And I just appreciate all that you've done for City of Hope, Leukemia and Lymphoma, March of Dimes, Easter Seals, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and many more charities that we represent. Thank you very much for what you've done.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, and especially city employees and staff who worked so hard under Marty Wynn's great direction for a terrific activity. We had the great pleasure of actually participating in the activities. It was terrific to see the level of enthusiasm of the city employees, particularly when we're all operating under really tough times. And this funding is particularly gratifying to us when we know how tight everything is. And I can tell you it will be put to very good use. This envelope alone represents as much as an entire summer program for 20 kids. 20 weeks of preschool. More than probably 200 hours of counseling for troubled teens. So there's a lot of hope in this envelope, and you put it there. So we do appreciate it, and we had a great time at your event. So thank you very much for including us.
Thank you, Pat. And now we have a community spotlight.
Yes, and Mr. Clark will help honor our long-term employees.
Thank you, Mr. Fertal, Mayor and members of the City Council. This evening, the City Council pays tribute to a distinguished group of employees celebrating their 25 and 30-year milestones with the City of Garden Grove. Honorees unable to be here tonight are Franna Cassidy of IT, Fire Captain Patrick Collins, Dara Danley of Public Works, Carl Hill of Community Development, Police Lieutenant John Keeley, Police Sergeant Mike Smith, Fire Captain Jeff Sparger, Police Master Officer David Young, Teresa Casey of Community Development, Fire Captain Jeff Geyer, Fire Battalion Chief Nick Booker, and Chris Veras of Public Works. The Council is pleased to welcome the following 25 and 30-year honorees here tonight and ask them to please come forward to the podium. Police Sergeant Bob Bogue, Marty Carroll of Human Resources, Police Lieutenant Ben Stauffer, Fire Captain Jeff Wilkins, Zach Barrett of Public Works, Police Captain Mike Hanfield, Firefighter Paramedic Steve Erickson, and last but not least, our own City Clerk Kathy Baylor. So hopefully we don't need anything for the record during this. In 1985, Sergeant Bob started his career with the Garden Grove Police Department as a cadet. He worked many assignments as a police officer, detective, master officer 1 and 2 before promoting to sergeant in 2006. He currently serves as the investigation supervisor for the Property Crimes Unit, which handles cases involving burglary, auto theft, and major fraud, among other offenses. Bob lives in Garden Grove with his wife Sally and daughters Krista, Ariel, Summer, and Kenzie. In addition to his many official duties, Bob has taken a special interest in managing the department's chaplain program, expanding its reach, adding spiritual leaders from more faiths, and ensuring that pastoral care is always available for officers in need. The city congratulates Sergeant Bogue on 25 years of outstanding service. Our next honoree for 25 years of service is Marty Carroll. Marty was hired as a recreation specialist by the City of Garden Grove way back in 1985. She transferred to the Human Resources Department in 1990 and has just reached the 20-year mark of her life sentence there. Marty is 50% of the city's benefits program. If you participate in rideshare, flex benefits, health, life, vision, or dental insurance, you are at Marty's mercy and should remember that. She is famous the county over for the ever-popular Share Fair and Employee Service Awards. Marty is a Garden Grove resident and native. She grew up with 9 brothers and sisters in an old Victorian home, it was not a shoe, at Gilbert and Garden Grove Boulevard. She has a beautiful daughter, Rachel, who is now 22, and I believe here in the audience. Marty is also active in her church, St. Paul's Lutheran, here in Garden Grove. The city thanks Marty for 25 years of excellent service to the city and community of Garden Grove. The next honoree is Lieutenant Ben Stauffer. Ben Stauffer was hired as a part-time dispatcher for the city of Garden Grove in 1985. He worked a variety of assignments as a dispatcher, patrol officer, a member of the Special Investigations Unit, and the Orange County Regional Narcotics Task Force until promoting to sergeant in 2001. He continued working his way up the ranks and was promoted to lieutenant in 2006, serving first as a watch commander. For the past 2 years, he's been the lieutenant in charge of the Special Services Division, which includes the ever-challenging field of code enforcement. Ben is a past president and current member of the Kiwanis Club of Greater Garden Grove. Ben is also an avid pilot and has served as president and vice president of the Aero Association at Caltech. He and his wife, Abby, live in Norco, where by law every resident has to own at least 1 horse. In addition to their time in the air, he and Abby also spend quite a bit of time down to earth tending these horses. The city congratulates Lieutenant Stauffer on 25 years of outstanding service. The next honoree celebrating 25 years is Captain Jeff Wilkins of the Fire Department. Jeff was hired as a firefighter by the City of Garden Grove in 1985. He served as a firefighter and paramedic until his promotion to captain in 2001. Jeff is in charge of Garden Grove Engine 3, managing both day-to-day duties and hundreds of annual emergency calls. He also currently serves as the department's terrorist liaison officer. He and his wife, Diana, have 6 children, Jason, Amanda, Sindel, Corey, Shelby, and Marky, and 4 grandchildren with a 5th grandchild due in April. Hope I got the names right. Jeff has served as secretary and treasurer for the Garden Grove Firefighters Association and has been a high school wrestling official for the past 20 years. Prior to that, he coached wrestling and softball at his children's high school. Jeff is best known as the fire department's ace softball pitcher, leading the team to the championship last year. The city thanks and congratulates Captain Wilkins on 25 years of dedicated service. And last but not least, out of our 25-year group is firefighter paramedic Steve Erickson. And unfortunately, we had a screw-up with the script, so I don't have a lot to say about it other than you've been a great employee and 30 years. I even shortchanged it by 5. All right. So we want to congratulate firefighter paramedic Steve Erickson on 30 years of service to the city. Our 30-year honorees, in addition to Firefighter Erickson, we have Kathy Baylor. Kathy was hired as a full-time clerical assistant way back in 1980. In 1989, she became Department Secretary for Community Services and served in that capacity for 11 years before transferring to the City Clerk's office, serving as Records Clerk, then Deputy City Clerk, before promoting to City Clerk in 2008. As such, Kathy is in charge of all official records, administers the city's elections, and hardest of all, ensures that a complete, accurate, and legally compliant City Council agenda packet comes out on time twice a month. Her job description reads, and I quote, "Deal tactfully with the highest of the high maintenance." I, for one, have been grateful for the honor of working with Kathy. I know that she will follow through on every action and every item, and she is unfailingly pleasant and professional, even when Mother Teresa herself might be so challenged. Kathy has lived in Garden Grove since 1981 with her husband Don and 3 children, Dan, Tom, and Becky. She's active in community affairs, serving as treasurer for the Garden Grove chapter of Sir Optimist International and vice president of the Chamber of Commerce's Women's Division. The city commends Kathy Baylor for 30 years of commitment and dedication to the community. The next 30-year honoree is Zachary Barrett. Zach Barrett started with the city under the CETA program. You remember CETA? Painting houses for the city. After a couple of years, Zach did so well, he was hired by the Public Works Department on a full-time basis, working his way from Public Works trainee to Public Works supervisor, a total of 7 promotions. He is currently the city's water quality supervisor. Born and raised in Garden Grove, Zach is a dedicated family man and has been married to his wife Christine for 27 years. They have 2 sons, Justin and Jacob. He's active in his church, the Calvary Chapel, West Garden Grove, and has also traveled to Haiti to assist with the construction of 3 water wells and 10 reservoirs. Following the 7.6 earthquake, Zach again traveled to Haiti to provide essential help in bringing their broken water infrastructure back online. During that same trip, he and his team members also delivered nearly a half-ton of food to the earthquake victims in Port-au-Prince. The city commends Zach Barrett for over 30 years of dedication to the community and for serving his fellow man. Our last 30-year honoree of the evening is Captain Michael Hanfield. Mike Hanfield has worked in law enforcement for 32 years. After 2 years in Bakersfield, he wisely transferred to the Garden Grove Police Department in 1980. He has served as a master officer, training officer, a member of the crime suppression team, and as a detective in the investigations unit before promoting to sergeant in 1991. He promoted to lieutenant in 2003 and captain in 2007. Mike is commander of the Investigations and Support Bureau, which oversees youth services, records, communications, and forensic sciences, in addition to the detectives. Mike has twice received the department's prestigious Medal of Merit. Mike has also received 2 Commitment to Service awards and was the second member of the department to win the Triple Crown. He's been named Officer of the Year, Investigator of the Year, and Sergeant of the Year. Mike is considered one of the top detectives amongst all law enforcement agencies in Orange County. Mike lives nearby in the city of Orange with his wife Tanvi. Their daughter is now a freshman at Colorado State. Mike and Tanvi enjoy boating, so much so that when his boat needs an oil change, he buys a new boat. The city honors Captain Hanfield for 30 years of dedication and excellence in the course of protecting our city. At this time, the mayor and city council would like to present each of these seasoned veterans with a memento in recognition and appreciation of their extraordinary years of service to the city of Garden Grove. The city proudly salutes these employees for their dedication, hard work, and integrity. And then after you receive your award, if you'll stay up on the dais, we'll do a group photo when everyone's gotten their award.
I'd help you, but I don't have my glasses on, so.
Marty, congratulations. Make sure Ben's not standing in front of Dina when we take the picture. Anyone for that matter, yeah.
No, he's not. Okay.
And everybody leaves. Do what? Oh, open the box. Oh, when you do the 1, 2, do 1, 2, 3, then click. Yeah, because I think they're waiting for 3.
They're waiting for 3.
And you click, and they got some weird face.
I don't think it will
Get everybody in?
One, two, three. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Nobody wants to talk.
Finally, Mr. Mayor, we have a very special presentation to a 31-year veteran of the Garden Grove Police Department. An officer who very nearly made the ultimate sacrifice to the people of Garden Grove. I'd like to ask Lieutenant Steve Sanders to please come forward, and he already has. Steve Sanders began his career with the Garden Grove Police Department on August 13, 1979. He was promoted in 1982 to Master Officer and proceeded to work a variety of assignments, including Training Officer, Juvenile Investigations, and a stint in the Youth Services Unit. As a detective, Steve investigated the Cinnamon Brown homicide, which was later the subject of a book and a movie. While a detective in the Crimes Against Persons Unit, he and partner Dave Kivler followed a suspected serial rapist in an area under night surveillance. As they approached the suspect's hiding place, the suspect abruptly turned on both officers and began shooting. The gun battle resulted in the suspect, later confirmed as the rapist, being shot and killed. Steve was shot in the right forearm during this incident, causing extensive muscle and nerve damage. It would have been easy and entirely justified for Steve to have ended his law enforcement career at this point, but it is a testament to his perseverance and his character that he chose not to quit and instead went through more than a year of difficult and painful treatment and physical therapy before returning to full duty. For their service in stopping a serial rapist, Steve and Dave both received the department's highest award, the Medal of Valor. Since Steve was promoted to sergeant, he's been responsible for the department's accreditation through CALEA, the Commission on Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies. CALEA accreditation is the highest honor a law enforcement agency can earn. As one of his final official acts, he managed the host committee for the CALEA conference held in Garden Grove just last week, where Garden Grove was named to an even higher honor, that of a flagship agency. Steve has also been known as the department's firearms instructor and expert. He's the person who brought less lethal shotguns to the department and led the change from mace to OC spray, which sounds sort of refreshing, but I guess it's pepper spray. At this time, the Mayor and City Council would like to specially recognize Steve Sanders and present him with a Crystal Award as a token of appreciation for 31 years of outstanding service to the city and the community of Garden Grove. The city wishes you well in your retirement years and thanks you again for an incredible amount of dedicated service.
We have one more after this, right?
Okay, okay.
3.
Unlike my colleagues, I'll take a couple of minutes and speak with you. But you never know what you're going to get when you offer a mic to a retiree. I will say it's been a good 31 years as a person who grew up in the community, left to serve the country for a few years, and when I came back, I continued working in the same area where I had grown up. And I'd like to say that briefly in the past 31 years, I've seen a lot of changes that have been extremely positive through the city's management and through the police department's management. If it wasn't for quality leadership, overall, the redevelopment would not have occurred on the East End where I grew up and still reside. The changes in our building, our law enforcement section, the different programs that we've been able to participate in and sometimes create at the acceptance and leadership from the city group. I just can't say enough about it. It's been a good 31 years. I've liked seeing the changes that have continued throughout the time, and I would like to see the redevelopment and the other positive changes that have been going on for the last probably 25 years continue in the direction that they are going. But on the other note, I'd also like to say that the staffing has gone back to about what it was when I hired on, and I'd like to hope that this would be the last time that it gets dropped down to that. So that's about the only negative thing I am going to say. Everything else has been excellent here, and I'd like to thank you for the opportunity of letting me serve for so many years.
Okay, I'll now open oral communications for the council, the agency, and the sanitary district. Peggy Bergen.
Hello, and it's been a couple of weeks since I've been here, so I want to say congratulations to our 3 winners in our last election, and just keep up the good work and keep doing good stuff so people will want to vote for you. Okay, now that that is kind of over, and I'll say Happy Thanksgiving in case I run out of time. But there were a couple items on our city council agenda here today that I kind of was questioning. Well, one of them was medians again on Brookhurst Street, and that really doesn't interfere in my daily life because I don't really go over to Brookhurst Street that often. But I'm just kind of curious because it says that the total cost is $1.4 million, almost 1.5, and 500,000 of that is coming from federal monies, and which means that's still coming out of my pocket, and 100,000 are coming from city matching funds, which would be derived from the water enterprise funds and, when available, street funding. Well, I thought that was kind of unusual because I'm kind of wondering where our available street funds are, because I've lived in the same house for over 30 years, and when we were moved in, we were told every 7 to 10 years our streets would get resurfaced in our areas they just keep moving around the city doing it. Well, it's only been done twice in my recollection, and one of the times was because they tore up the main street I drive off of, so when they redid that, they just came and did all of our cul-de-sacs. So if we have so much extra money, why don't they come and kind of resurface some of our streets that are in neighborhoods that are not looking too good? And my question is, are they going to be putting in new medians, which means more medians all over the city, or are they just going to tear out the existing ones, raise them up 2 or 3 inches, and then tear out the existing trees like they did in the median next to my house and replace them with $14.95 plants as opposed to 35-year plants that were in existence for years. This is going to happen on Brookhurst, I believe, from Trask, in the Trask area, in that area. So, but I'm kind of curious why our city is the only one that's taking advantage of all this federal funding for medians if it's so available and so necessary, because you drive through towns like Tustin and Fullerton, and you don't see medians everywhere. So if you want to go to a business across the street, you don't have to go 2.5 miles out of your way going down and back up to get into them. This is item 6F, which is only a consent item, which will be just ignored. So then my next one is on the 6G, which is the water supply assessment that is going to be going to the new water park hotel that should be starting, I don't know, within the next couple of years. Well, okay, I was reading the little tidbits of information there, once again reinforced that it's going to be 605 hotel rooms with restaurants, retail, and meeting spaces on 12 acres. Okay, that's acceptable, plus the water park. Now, the total demand for water in this project is 139 acre-feet per year. That's the allotment going to this. But it says now that is approximately 5 times more than the 2 existing buildings that have been using water on that forever. That's 5 times more. Now, my whole question is, if we have so much extra water, we can give it to a hotel that basically is going to be somewhat subsidized by the city, and we as citizens will not be able to go to it unless we want to rent a hotel room from $200 to $400 to take a little dunk in a pool, basically speaking. We're going to be subsidizing this. Then in the mail I get today how our water rates are going to be going up because of a pass-through. Now, I don't understand all this pass-through business. I do know they're raising our rates for water. So you're passing that through to us. If we have this existing acres of feet of water that no one's using, why don't you let us citizens use that water and not raise the rates? Within the next 2 to 3 years, our water bills will be 98% more than they were 7 years ago. Now, that's a lot of money. And it makes it very hard for us to compare when you read the water analysis for the hotel. It tells us that it's in acre feet, but our bills come to us in 100 cubic feet. So we can't even compare what a single house would be using as compared to this hotel space is using. So, I mean, you should at least put one or the other in the same types of measurements so we can compare what this hotel is going to be used. And they are already getting their water at a cheaper rate than we as citizens are. Now, we are helping fund this hotel for years, but we can't use it, and they're giving water to that, and we are getting our water rates raised again. I really don't understand how this is all working, but I would like to know the difference between 100 cubic feet, someone could tell me, and then also acre feet, what the difference in water would be. They can just leave me a message or whatever. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Charles Mitchell.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council and staff, and happy birthday to Mayor Dalton and to Councilmember Wynn. How do you measure experience? Can you put a monetary value on it? What we gain from the events and encounters in our lives stay with us always. Financial gains can slip through our fingers unexpectedly. The people that we meet and the places we go are locked in our memories. One such occurrence is the opportunity to serve for a year on the grand jury. This is the time when applications are being accepted for service on the 2011 and 2012 Orange County Grand Jury. The process is not easy. There is a 9-page application to fill out, also interviews with judges, and a home visit by the Sheriff's Department. This is all to ensure that the best qualified people are chosen. If you are willing to serve for 1 year, beginning on July 1st, you will go to places and see things that will open your eyes and mind to the vast network of government within our county. This is a full-time job, and the pay is $50 a day plus mileage to and from the courthouse in Santa Ana. Most people equate the grand jury with criminal cases, but that is only about 8% of its activity. The majority of the time is spent investigating and interviewing any of the many branches of service in our community. That includes all of the county, city, and municipal agencies. The grand jury has no authority to seek punishment for any misdeeds uncovered. They do, however, through the district attorney's office, have the power to require the appearance of parties before them. This is usually not necessary, as all meetings with the grand jury are confidential and are customarily conducted at the agency's business location. Information is the key to maintaining a free and open public service sector. The grand jury issues written reports on their findings along with recommendations for improvement. This places the information in the hands of the public to take whatever actions are appropriate. The only requirement is U.S. citizenship, residing in the county for 1 year, and being 18 years old. Education and the ability to express yourself clearly in the English language are considered for each applicant. If you are interested in applying, you can contact the grand jury hotline at 714-834-6747 or go to www.ocgrandjury.org. If I may, I am also leaving some applications with the city clerk. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll close oral communications and recess the council and go to the agency.
Actually, don't recess the council. We'll do a
Oh,
joint.
you have that one item, okay. We'll go ahead and the joint item.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, we'll open up the agency. Please, Madam Chair, Clerk, come to my tongue in a minute, show that everybody's here, and we will go to a closed session. We had a closed session item. It has been reported on, and if there's any questions on it, I guess you can ask us about it afterwards, but we already had a report on that. Okay, 5A, items for consideration.
Yeah, in conjunction with the pending DDA on the Brickers Triangle, the first item is a joint action with the City Council to consider a relocation plan for the Brickers Triangle, and Greg Brown is here to give a staff report on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Fertel. Mayor Dalton, Chairman Broadwater, and members of the City Council and agency, before you tonight is a request that the City Council adopt the attached resolution approving the updated relocation plan for the potential displacement of eligible commercial businesses occupying a portion of the 13.9 acres of real property at the northwest corner of Brookhurst Street and Garden Grove Boulevard, commonly referred to as the Brookhurst Triangle. It's also requested that the Garden Grove Agency for Community Development receive and file the relocation plan and authorize its implementation when displacement becomes necessary. California Relocation Assistance Law establishes the rights and obligations of public entities if and when implementation of a public program or project results in the displacement of residents or businesses. And the agency has been negotiating with a developer for the sale and redevelopment of the Brookhurst Triangle in multiple phases. State law requires preparation, consideration, and action on a relocation plan if displacement may occur at any time in the future. The City Council, as the legislative body of the agency, is vested with the authority to review and take action on the plan, and state law mandates a review period of 30 days prior to the adoption of the plan by the City Council. The agency acquired the 10 parcels comprising the project for future redevelopment purposes. Those acquisitions included parcels with only commercial tenants. Subsequently, 3 tenants have entered into new month-to-month leases with significant rent reductions in exchange for a waiver of relocation obligations by the agency. Copies of the draft plan have been provided to all of the eligible tenants at the Brookhurst Triangle. Pursuant to state law, the plan includes an assessment of relocation needs, business relocation resources, and the relocation program itself. The The city and agency have provided general notice of the availability of the plan, including posting on city website, and have delivered copies both in English and Vietnamese, and have made it available for more than 30 days prior to consideration tonight and action by the council. Total cost to relocate the businesses is estimated to be $470,000 in today's dollars, which includes reestablishment expenses, moving costs, and related expenses as allowed by relocation law. Based on the foregoing, staff recommends that the council and agency take the following actions. As the city council, we recommend that you adopt the attached city council resolution approving the relocation plan. And then as the agency, we recommend that you receive and file the relocation plan and authorize the agency director and his designees to implement the relocation plan at the appropriate time. And that concludes my staff report, and we are available to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Any questions for staff? Hearing none, at this time, we'll open up the public hearing.
I'm sorry.
Item
This item is not a public hearing.
You're right. I'm
So-
way ahead of myself.
If you're ready, we'll...
Can we take them together, or we gotta take
No, the first one by the city council, motion by the city council to adopt the resolution approving the plan.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, can I have a motion, please?
This is for the agency to receive and file the relocation plan.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, at this time, we'll go to public hearings.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, again, this is a joint public hearing with the City Council and the Redevelopment Agency to consider the disposition and development agreement for the Brookhurst Triangle, and Greg Blodgett is here to give a staff report on this item.
Thank you, Matt. Mr. Chairman, members of the agency, tonight we have a disposition development agreement between the agency and CamSang for the development of the Brookhurst Triangle, and I have a PowerPoint presentation that we'll go over that goes over the details of the project. The first slide shows the Brookhurst Triangle location. It's centrally located on two major arterial streets, Brookhurst Street, Gardner Boulevard, and also bound by Brookhurst Way. The site is 13.9 acres, and the agency owns the entire site. The second slide shows the agency and city moved forward and approved a PUD 12309, which was approved in 2009, November of 2009. And this was approval for 700 maximum residential units and up to 200,000 square foot of commercial retail space. And these two photos on the top show the perspective looking into the project from Brookhurst and Gardner Boulevard. And then the bottom photo shows a artistic rendering looking at the plaza area. So the agency has selected CamSang companies, and I'll give you a brief detail of the background of CamSang. CamSang was established in 1979. They have $1 billion in assets. They're mainly involved with investments for construction, development, and management for three types of properties: mixed use, hospitality, and also retail centers. And we have some photos on the bottom. The first photo is Bally's Fitness Center, which is part of Puente Hills Shopping Center. And then the second photo is the mixed-use project in Simi Valley. And they've also built the Sheraton Garden Grove, which has 285 rooms, and Embassy Suites in Glendale with 272 rooms. And most recently, they just completed a month ago Atlantic Times Square, which is located in Monterey Park. And the main photo shows a rendering of the project, which is a mixed-use, high-density, 5 stories of retail over 1 story of 5 stories of residential over 1 story of retail, and below that parking. And there's a photo to the right with the anchor tenant, which is AMC Theater, and below that just a view of the interior of the project. So the developer's proposal is for a mixed-use project, which includes 600 residential units, a minimum of 80,000 square foot of retail and restaurant. The developer is proposing to purchase the land from the agency for $30.4 million in 2 phases, which we'll go over in a moment. And the benefits to the agency will be $3.1 million in new tax increment. So this next slide shows the phasing. It will be a 2-phase project. Phase 1 to the north, 3.7 acres, and Phase 2, 10.2 acres. The next slide shows the proposed elevation that the developer, this is a perspective looking at the project from Brookhurst and Garden Grove Boulevard. And these next slides show just some different renderings that the agency liked as far as the look and feel of the project, as far as the high-quality materials, stone, glass, and even steel, and really create an icon for the corner of Brookhurst and Garden Grove Boulevard. Also included in the project will be some open space, and these next slides show just some examples of what the end product may look like as far as open space. And moving on to the projected benefits, the purchase price, as we mentioned, a total of $30.4 million is broken down into the components, 3.7 acres for $6 million, and Phase 2 at 10.2 acres for $24 million. The total development budget for the project is estimated to be $288 million. With the land payment included, $30.4 million brings the grand total to $318.4 million. Once again, the total residential unit count will be 600, and of that, affordable units will have 60 affordable units, with the option to build additional affordable units, 60 additional affordable units, and then the agency would infuse an additional $6.4 million in the project. And the total tax increment, once again, is $3.18 million to the agency. So at this time, staff recommends the City Council adopt the resolution consenting to the approval of the DDA between the agency and New Age Brookhurst LLC, and the agency adopt a resolution approving the attached DDA with New Age for the development of the 13.9-acre site in the city of Garden Grove within the area known as Brookhurst Triangle, and also authorize the director to execute the disposition development agreement and any other pertinent documents to effectuate the agreement. This concludes my report.
Any questions for staff? Hearing none, at this time we will open up the public hearing. Would anybody like to speak on this issue?
You have one card, Mr.
I got it here. Linda Tang.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. My name is Linda Tang. I'm here on behalf of the Kennedy Commission. For those of you who don't know who we are a coalition of community members and organizations that advocate for the development of housing for low and very low and extremely low income households, or for working families who make about $20,000 a year. I'm here to say that the Brookhurst Triangle development is a great opportunity for the city to address the city's remaining RHNA housing needs for low, very low, and extremely low-income households, considering that we think that this is a great, it has the capacity, and it's much more feasible, considering the city does own the whole entire site. As the development that's proposed in the staff report, it doesn't seem like it leverages tax credits that can facilitate rental or mixed use or mixed income rental units that would be affordable to low, very low, and extremely low income households for the residents in Garden Grove. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak on this issue? Josh McIntosh?
Good evening, everybody. All right, I think it's a bad idea. I think it's way too big, way too big. If you've ever driven down Garden Grove Boulevard in Brookhurst, you realize there's already extremely too many cars. There's a lot of traffic. It takes way too long to get through already. We have a lot of first-generation drivers in the area with not the most experience. Now add 600 residential units. Let's figure two vehicles per unit. That's another 1,200 cars brought to Garden Grove and Brookhurst. How long would that take to clear that intersection? Oh, 10, 15 minutes, I don't know. Everybody leaves at 7:15 in the morning to get to work, same time. How many exits will they have from this place? How many cars will be brought there? How will that affect the air quality in the area with all this emissions? I just think it's way overscaled, way too big. I don't think they'll have the free land that was shown there. I don't think they're beautiful. I think they're cookie cutter. I just don't really care for it. I think I represent a lot of people here tonight.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Hearing none, at this time, we'll close the public hearing. Mr. Mayor, would you want to go with the first city council action?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead.
Okay. The city council's action, we can move on first if you want to.
Okay. The city council, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
No.
She made her statement.
Yeah, that was.
We heard from her already.
Okay, I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, we have another action on it. Agency action, resolution approving the disposition and development agreement with New Age Brookhurst LLC. Entertain a motion.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Any matters from agency members? Hearing none, we will adjourn until December 14th at 5:30 p.m. in the council chamber.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to recess the council for 5 minutes or so. There's cake for Miss Wynn's birthday that we want to share with the audience.
And yours, Mayor.
Bill, are you older than me? Or?
I'd like to call the Garden Grove Sanitary District meeting to order. Madam Clerk, let the record show that all members are present. And we have consent items.
Yes, Mr. President. Oh, very good.
I'm sorry, I have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Thank you.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, any matters from board members? Okay, hearing none, we'll adjourn the meeting till the next regular scheduled meeting of the Sanitary District on Tuesday, January 25th, 2011 at 6:30 p.m. here. And we'll reconvene, I'm sorry. We will reconvene the city council meeting. And let's see, where are we at?
Consent items.
Consent items.
Ready?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, it's recommended that items 6A through 6K be acted on simultaneously unless a separate discussion or action is requested by a council member.
Okay, if no one pulls any, I'll entertain.
I'd like to
a-
have 6F and 6I pulled.
Okay.
Move the balance.
Motion and second for the balance. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, 6F, Mr. Broadwater.
Cooperative agreement with Orange County Transportation Authority for the Brookhurst Street Medium Rehabilitation Project. Mediums in Orange County have saved more lives than any other traffic device. Just want to mention that. I move the issue.
Okay, call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Let's go to 6I.
6I, go ahead.
Consent to transfer agreement between Care Ambulance Service and FCA Corporation. Well, we have one of the owners of Care with us tonight, and I just want to tell you thank you for all the service you've done for us. And I hope you don't disappear off the world forever. I hope you don't go to Denmark too many times. Okay. All right. I'd like to move the issue.
Second. Okay, I just want to make that a quick comment, too. When I first came on the council, there was a lot of discussion as far as what ambulance company was the best and who should get the contract and all those things. And I think that the years have proven, and anybody up here that's been here during any of those periods of time, and other council people from 1998 on, I think realized that CARE, probably that's a good name for them, CARE, because I think they do. They care great for our citizens, the people in need and everything. And so I hope and I believe that the quality will remain. I think the formula was discovered, and I think it doesn't matter who mixes the ingredients as long as they keep the same ingredients, and I'm looking forward to that. So call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, see, we're going to public hearings. I'm going to recuse myself on this matter because I own property within, I believe, potentially within 500 feet. So I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, we'll hear public hearing item number 7A. We'll start with a brief staff report.
Susan Emmerich, please.
Mr. Mayor, or Mr. Vice Mayor, and members of the council, the item before you this evening is a request to extend the entitlements for a site plan variance and a tentative tract map. These entitlements were for an original 4-year period, having been approved by the Planning Commission and the City Council in 2006. The project proposed at that time and still is a 12-unit housing development, and it's to be located at 12661 Nelson Street. Due to the down economy over the past 4 years, the applicant has been unable to move forward with the project. The applicant is now requesting to extend the time frame for the entitlements for a 3-year period, which will expire in September of 2013. The developer is hopeful the economy will improve during the extension period, enabling them to move forward and complete the project. In October, the Planning Commission considered and approved the request for the time extension and recommended that the City Council approve the request also. Staff recommends that the City Council introduce the attached ordinance approving a revision to Section 1 of the development agreement that extends the approval of the project and its entitlements until September 21st, 2013. And I'm going to read to you the title of the ordinance. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove adopting a revision to a development agreement between LV Development, Inc., developer, and the City of Garden Grove for property located on the west side of Nelson Street, north of Stanford Avenue at 12661 Nelson Street, parcel numbers 089-101-11, 12, 14, 15, and 27. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Susan. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. I do have a couple cards. Steve Howison? Not present. Okay, Peggy?
I'm here so often, I'm on a first-name basis with all of you. My only comment really on this is, because I haven't really seen any paperwork on the project itself, so I can't complain about the project as it stands, but the extension of a development for 12 homes, that could be acceptable in the amount of property that's there. But my question is, now he's already had this first approval was in 2006. The economy was booming till 2008. So he had 2 years to find someone to finance this, and he couldn't. So therefore, there was already a little glitch there. Now, 2008, the economy started to tank, so I can understand his problem then. But about within the last year, probably more like 6 months, there was a project on Fairview right at Trask when the street widening project was going in there to build, I believe it is also 12 houses or maybe 20 on that project. It was approved, and the houses are already almost complete. My neighbor drove by down there today, heading over towards the supermarket, and he came home and commented on them. He said, "Oh my God, I didn't even realize there was any construction there, and they're almost finished." Now, this man was able to make a project, get funding, bring it to the city, and get the bulldozers all within months. Now, we're approving this land to be held in kind of a limbo for another 3 years until this man gets funding again. Now, I do realize that maybe something will change in 3 or 4 years, that with the city will have different requirements maybe, whatever. But I don't understand why, if this man hasn't been able to find funding in roughly 4 years, what the next 3 years is going to do. Because when you read financial papers, everyone says 2011 is going to be the turnaround, 2012, 2014, 2015. Why, if this man had a project that was that good in 2006, why all of a sudden he still keeps looking for it? Money for this project to get it started, and why do we as a city let him keep holding that land in limbo? That is project ready land, maybe someone else would have something that would come in, but they can't because this is being held for somebody else. We already have that monstrosity right across from the Brookers Triangle, the Galleria, that is half-built, and it's just in limbo because somebody ran out of money. Now we're going to have another piece of land that's basically nothing much is going to do on it. Because let's face it, if I was a homeowner or a property owner and I rented or I owned it, why would I put money into improving it if I thought any year within the next 3 years, somebody is going to come in and say, okay, I finally got money, I'm going to start my project, so you guys are out. So they're not going to really maintain that very well. So instead of improving the land in 3 years, we're letting nothing happen to it for the next. But that's 7 years you're giving someone to build that, basically speaking, had a project that might have been acceptable, might not be acceptable, who knows what the problem is, that he can't get financing. But I just do not find it acceptable to give this man another 3 years, or this company another 3 years, when they weren't able to do it, when the economy was really charging ahead. And I don't know, and it seems it was also approved with a variance when it was approved, which means it didn't really fall in with the existing city guidelines. So there was already some little tick. It was either maybe not enough property, maybe too small of lots. Whatever the issue, it was passed with a variance, which is one of my things. If someone comes to the city with property that needs a variance all the time, that means it's not falling within the city guidelines. But then you can send out code enforcement to existing homes that they're not falling in line with codes that may have come into existence after they bought their houses. You can't kind of play with two sets of rules. Either you follow within the city guidelines or you don't. I don't understand how come everything's always a variance, and how come people come to you with a project and they can't get started. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Please come forward. Please state your name for the record.
Good evening, Council, and good evening, gentlemen and ladies. My name is Nguyen Nguyen. I'm the owner of that property, of the 15661 in Nelson Street, Garden Grove, the 12 units. Answer to this question of that lady that, usually when we buy the land, it takes about 3 or 4 years to develop, the subdivision, and go all through kind of stuff, like, public hearing and architecture and all kind of stuff, take about years already. But anyway, I would answer her question that we already got the fund, and we did tear out the house, we did do the compaction, and we are going, today we receive the permit to build the block wall. So we start, in process. And I would say with the Calvin Doe the construction, he's the famous, builder around here. And he promised me about 9 months. So I would say maximum is 1 year. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Any questions or comments? I'd like to say a few things, just maybe to address what Peggy commented about. To the developer's credit, he originally entered into a contract to acquire the vacant lot that was next to St. Columban's Church and started processing plans. That property, I believe, had underlying zoning that would allow him to do a high-density residential or a medium to high-density residential project on that site. He was approached by St. Columban's Church saying, boy, we'd sure like that property to be able to expand our parking lot there as opposed to having people go across the street where they were parking before. And he was very accommodative. So that 2006 to 2008 timeframe that transpired, which unfortunately was kind of a rolling over of residential real estate markets, he spent working with St. Columban's Church to accommodate, make kind of a switch of properties, and ended up building his 12 homes across the street and allowing the St. Clement's Church to expand the parking lot. So I think there was a good relationship there between the city, the developer, the church to kind of work that together and shuffle some of the pieces around and allow that to happen. And also he addressed this as well, but they are under construction now. They've demolished the existing improvements that were there. They've got a fence around it. They're moving forward. They just, since the entitlements were expiring, they're doing this as sort of a safeguard to say, well, we've already started, but we've only pulled a rough grading permit, so let's get an extension of the entitlements. But as far as I'm concerned, they're already under construction, they're already going forward, and so we're looking forward to seeing it coming out of the ground. So if there's no other comments, I'd like to move approval on the extension and or,
I'll second
on the
that.
ordinance.
Move the item.
Second.
Third.
Motion received, 4 yes votes.
You'll have to give up the gavel now.
You did good.
Keep going.
Seven B.
7B.
Well, we actually did that as part of the DDA,
Okay.
so now we'll go to 8A.
Okay, 8A. That's a letter of resignation from Ella Navarez. Would you make sure that we send a letter to her thanking her for her service to the community in the city of Garden Grove?
I move we accept with regrets.
Yes.
Second.
Well, we can just direct you. We don't have to vote on it, right?
Do
Or maybe what?
to file it?
If you want to vote, okay, we'll vote on it.
You against it, or, I mean, what?
No.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, items for consideration.
Your first item is an agreement with All City Management Services to provide crossing guard services, and Kevin Rainey is here to give a staff report on this item.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. The Police Department is seeking approval to renew its contract with All City Management Services to provide the crossing guard services for the city. All City Management Services has been contracted to provide crossing guard services since 1999, when the city ceased using city employees to provide crossing guard services. The last contract with All City Management Services was approved by City Council in January 2009. The requested renewal is for a 2-year period with no cost increases from the January 2009 contract. The contract specifies 32 crossing guard locations will be staffed at an annual cost of $344,424. The total amount of the contract is for $688,848 for a 2-year period commencing January 1st, 2011 through December 31st, 2013. And if you have any questions, I'm available.
Any questions for staff?
Move the issue.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, do we have 9C? Is
Yeah,
that the next
9C
item?
would be next.
Okay.
That's award of a contract to Cedars Engineering Construction for sidewalks on Springdale Street and Seneca Street, and Bill Murray is here to give a staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Mr. Mayor and members of the council. In 2003, the Engineering Division of the Public Works Department received a petition with over 400 signatures on it requesting the construction of sidewalk along the East Springdale Street Bridge abutment just north of the SR-22 freeway. Preliminary investigations by staff determined that the city did in fact own that abutment and that constructing the sidewalk would be expensive. The high cost is basically due to a 400-foot-long retaining wall that will range from 4 to 14 feet in height that will be required to construct the sidewalk. Additionally, we found out that the groundwater in that area is only about 4 feet deep. In November of 2006, the city successfully competed for and received funding from for the project via the state's Safe Route to School program, and that will provide $224,000. With this grant, staff began preparation of the final plans. Currently, the slope of the abutment is landscaped and faces attractive homes. So maintaining the aesthetics of the area was important to staff and an important part of the project. Staff determined that a retaining wall constructed such that vegetation could grow through it would be the best for the area. However, we will lose several large mature trees and the shrubs that currently exist on that slope. On November 10th, 2010, staff received 10 qualified bids for constructing a retaining wall, sidewalk, guard railing, irrigation, landscaping, and curb and gutter improvements. The lowest qualified bidder with an amount of $397,000 was Cedar Engineering Construction. Should council decide to award the project tonight, construction can begin after the first of the year and should be complete by May of 2011. As another part, staff will use gas tax and measure and turnbacks to pay the difference for the grant amount to the construction cost. Staff is available to answer any questions, and this concludes my report.
Yeah, I just have one. I didn't realize that there was still the state Safe Routes to School program. I thought that money ran out some time ago, but
It did. We got this grant awarded to us in 2006, and we kept trying to figure out how we can get the project to work within that amount of money, and we simply decided to go ahead and bite the bullet, so to speak, and put up the additional monies with gas and measure and turnback monies to make up the difference.
okay, great, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second, call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Ordinance is presented for a second reading.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, your first ordinance is Ordinance 2784, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove approving amendment number A-15610, an amendment to the CCSP-0P9 Community Center Specific Plan, Office Professional Area 9 zone to add delicatessen sandwich shop, limited to 1,200 square feet of gross floor area with 0 to 16 seats, and less than 300 square feet of customer dining area. As a permitted use, subject to a conditional use permit approval within the Office Professional Subdistrict Area 9.
Thank you. Any questions?
Move approval of the second reading of the ordinance.
Get a motion second, call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, 10B.
10B is ordinance number 2785 for second reading. That's ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove amending Section 8.40.010 of and adding Section 8.40.090 to Chapter 40 of Title 8 of the Garden Grove Municipal Code related to public skate park facilities.
Okay,
Move approval of the
I have a
second reading.
motion. I'm sorry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, matters. Mr. Broadwater?
Well, Mayor Dalton had a birthday. He's had a lot of them before, but this one was really special. He ate that cake, the whole piece. I want to wish him and Member Nguyen happy birthday, both of you. You're both good guys. I'd like to mention something happened in our community. Garden Grove High School made the playoffs. Rancho made the playoffs also. But Rancho didn't win their first game, and Garden Grove did. They played Hector Gadaderis or something like that. It's hard for me to pronounce, but it's hard for me to remember. But it was a throwing game. They won 49-14, Garden Grove did. And it was supposed to rain that night, and just one drop of rain came as I got in the car and looked at the windshield. So it worked out just well. It was a fun game. I'm not sure who they're playing this week. They will either be playing, they could be playing Woodbridge, or they may be playing, I can't think of the other school's name.
So
Anyway,
is Rancho out?
oh yeah, Rancho's out. They
Single
lost it.
elimination.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
And I think Garden Grove will go a couple other steps. Tustin will be very tough for them to get past, but it was an exciting game the other night. It really was. I took my grandson. I was excited.
Thank you. Ms. Nguyen?
Okay. I want to thank staff for the birthday cake reception. That was very nice. Thank you. Over the weekend, the council went to an event called Kalia, in which I was very proud of our Garden Grove Police Department for getting their flagship accreditation. And what the association is that they raised the bar for professionalism and ethics. And our men and women in the law enforcement agency are to be commended for continuously striving to attain professionalism and ethics. Also, I want to bring attention to our new campaign in Garden Grove for Buy-in Garden Grove. I think we have a new logo now. It's called BIG, B-I-G-G. I like the new logo very much. If you go onto the Garden Grove website, you can see the new logo and also on how to put your business onto the website for free, where we don't charge any businesses to get on the website. It's really important that we buy in Garden Grove because most of our revenue come from the sales tax in Garden Grove. That's why I promote BIG. Happy birthday, Mayor Dalton, and happy Thanksgiving to all of Garden Grove.
Thank you. Mr. Jones.
Just want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mr. Doe.
Thank you, Mayor. Likewise, first, happy birthday to Mayor Dalton and Councilmember Nguyen. And in 2 days, we will celebrate Thanksgiving. And, we sit up here and we remember and commemorate the Black April. But Thanksgiving really was when I actually set foot on U.S. soil. And actually, that began the 35 years of residency here in the States. So it's always a time to reflect back and be thankful for all the things that we have. Not just the opportunities coming here, but even in this difficult time, I think we have to remember that we have our health, we have our family, we still have a great system that we have of government and a great economy. We still are the leader in the world. I think at times we may question that, and people may try to convince us that perhaps that's being questioned, but I don't think that's true. We still are looked upon as the leader to stand for all that's good and right, and we should always proceed and live our life with that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. But I'd just like to relate a little story, too, and Bruce was talking about he took his grandson to that game, which is great. I did the same thing Saturday. My grandson was playing. He plays in the Bulldogs, and he's about 8 or 9 years old. And they were playing at City Park, and I had just come for an event, and I was in a suit, and it was pouring rain. And his team scored a touchdown, so he was kicking off, and he kicked the ball, and it was a beautiful kick. I mean, usually what they try and do, they kick a certain way and to a certain area so they can recover the ball themselves. I mean, with the mud and everything, this just a beautiful kick, and it goes plop, and it just sat there. It didn't move. Well, this other kid picks it up and just starts running. And, you've seen this happen so many times in professional games in high school and college and everything. The last one to get him is the kicker. And I'm going, please, dear God, please let him get, Luckily enough, he did push the runner out and it saved a touchdown. But, Bruce and I were talking the other day, there's nothing that's more fun than watching, we've lost our kids. They're too old for that stuff now, but now we relive it a little bit with our grandkids. I tell you, those kids out there, I don't know, probably some of them, it wouldn't have been as important to them to win as it was to slosh around in the mud. Because no matter what the score was at the end, they're going to remember that game as long as they live. And it was kind of fun watching them. In fact, Bruce and I were at the Flag Football Trophy Awards handout last night for the City League teams. And, I don't think people realize what a great city we have, how many different programs there are for the kids. And we're looking at some more flag football teams coming into the city. We're increasing a lot of things. And it's wonderful to get the kids involved and, teach them all the fundamentals, teach them sportsmanship, teach them all those things, and keep them away from that terrible peer pressure sometimes that turns some of our kids into, things that none of us would like to see. I want to wish Councilwoman Doe a win. I know. It's whatever you got, Bruce. You're passing it on tonight. It's one of those nights. Dina, happy birthday. Okay. So anyway, we will adjourn this meeting until the next one, which is here, December 14th. Thank you. At 5:30 in the council chambers here. Thank you very much, and everybody have a happy Thanksgiving.